it softer. You know, sing it seductively. That's what he sings. Sing it very seductively. I was like, oh my God.
We're on our second album now, so we have to reprove ourselves. Was it Rolls Royce or was it the movie that made him big? So when we came up with Wishing on a Star, everybody was pretty much at ease.
Wishing on a Star was an international pop hit, and in full bloom, Rolls-Royce's second album went platinum, just like Car Wash had done. 2 for 2 for the guys from South Central and the girl from Biloxi, and big-time royalty checks were now coming in.
The first large check I got, I thought that the balance was my Social Security number. I said, well, this has to be wrong. And the girl said, no, that's right.
You look around and you say, boy, I can get anything I want. I can do anything I want. I can go anywhere I want to go.
I said, Freddie, remember when we talked about this? I said, look at it, it's really happening.
But for Duke Job, the band's success brought more than money.
I was using drugs like water. It was an everyday thing. Every night on stage, I was high. Every night, every night.
One of the platinum records I brought in today, I brought it in to remind me of that time. If you look on that platinum record, you'll see the glasses all scratched up on the front of it. Duke and I partied on that. The first couple of nights, they gave me that record.
In the industry, you're popular as I am, you don't pay for drugs. You don't pay for no drugs. That's the last thing you're gonna pay for, is some drugs. That's free.
Meanwhile, tensions grew between Gwen, the star attraction, and the guys who feared they were fast becoming backup players in their own band.
I wanted to sing more. At first I didn't, but now I did.
Norman was trying to create another Diana Ross with Gwen, so Kenny was going to be an afterthought. And Kenny was like, hey, I can sing too. Put me out there, you know, so self-destruction.
And Norman Whitfield's attitude didn't help.
He comes to the airport with a full-length black diamond mink coat. And I'm wearing just a normal nice coat, and he says, take that coat off. You're a superstar. This, I mean, with all the guys standing there, you know, that's like adding fuel to the fire. And of course, I'm sure they were hurt by it.
They always made her uncomfortable. She did what she had to do, but she didn't like the resentment. She could feel the resentment. It was there all the time.
So one day I did go to Norman, and I said, you know what, I'm getting sick of these guys because they feel that you should give more songs to Kenny. And I was saying, I don't care about them. I'll get rid of all of them as long as I got you. I'll get 8 chickens, dress them up, put you in front of them, and they can leave. So when I told them what he said, they were upset.
The guys would be even more upset when they took a look at the financial books and the royalties they were or weren't getting.
Why didn't you pay me my money, man? Why didn't you pay me my money?
Just a vacancy. Love don't live here anymore.
Love Don't Live Here Anymore. The song pretty much summed up what was happening inside Rolls-Royce at the start of 1978.
I could conceive that you wouldn't do for me.
Like a marriage on the rocks, the chemistry between the guys and the girl and the super producer in charge was going bad.
You abandoned me. Love don't live here anymore.
I knew that it would be the last song that I ever recorded with the band because I'm done here. And it was a perfect song. So I went in the studio and I was so mad. I put the headphones on. You abandoned me. Love don't live here anymore. And he said, that's perfect. Sing it just like that. But I was singing it like that because I was so angry. And he loved it. He loved it.
Sure enough, Love Don't Live Here Anymore shot to number 5 on the R&B charts. Rolls-Royce's third album, Rolls-Royce Strikes Again, sold 500,000 copies. For the public, the band could do no wrong. But behind the scenes, Norman Whitfield began giving more of his attention and best songs to other groups on his label. When Rolls-Royce released its fourth album, Rainbow Connection, in 1979, there were no big hits and modest sales.
And that was new to us. We're used to everything going out and 3 weeks later it's blasting on the radio. But wait a minute, we did the album, I don't hear it on the radio.
That's when you start altering things. But you don't ever want to get to the point to where you start panicking and then start making stupid decisions on emotions.
Success made up for a lot of problems, but failure quickly brought them to a head.
Henry came to my house once and I said to him, I said, I'm leaving the group. And he said, no, we need to talk. I said, we've been talking, but you are not listening.
Gwen disappeared, literally. No one knew where to find her.
That was like Jesse James. Because there was a $10,000 reward put out for whoever could bring me to Norman. I was actually in an apartment around the corner. They were looking for me, and he had put out this reward, and I was standing in the window looking at them, but they would never look up at me.
After a few weeks, Gwen bumped into Henry and Duke on the street, and they hauled her off to see Norman.
And I was like, Norman, I tried to talk to you, you wouldn't listen. And he goes, but I can fix it. I'm like, it's too late. It's too late. I'm not coming back. I'm done.
Gwen went back to Florida, then moved to London, and spent the next 3 years away from music, trying to sort things out.
Who am I? Am I Rose? Am I Gwen? You know, what's gonna happen to me? It was the most difficult time of my life. I was just crazy. I was living on the edge of life and nearly fell over the cliff a couple of times.
Okay, that's Gwen's version of the breakup. The current members of the band tell a different story. According to them, the group was in a meeting at Warner Brothers and about to sign a rich new deal when Gwen didn't show. Instead, her manager called with a message.
Listen, Gwen is not going to sign a new deal unless she gets 50% of the entire deal. Everybody was in shock. And I told Jay Cooper, tell Gwen's manager, not only are we not going to give her half of the deal, tell her she's fired. Before I let anyone come into my house and tear it up, I'll blow it up myself.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely priceless. I never asked for half of anything. That is not a true story. That is something that somebody made up in their head. I left the band because I was fed up with them. It's what they wanted.
In the guys' minds, they wanted to fire her because they were upset at some of the things that went down. And I guess in Gwen's mind, she wanted to quit because she was upset at them the way things went down. So it was all mutual.
The guys replaced Gwen with Richie Benson, a talented R&B singer from their old stomping ground in South Central. Eventually, Gwen took up a solo career. But for Rose Royce, the singer and the band, the good times were all but over.
Gwen never had a hit since we left. And I'm not ashamed to say it, we ain't never had a hit since she left.
While it lasted, Rose Royce enjoyed a spectacular run. 8 top 10 hits in 3 years, and 2 more that went top 20. But by 1980, the hits were history, and the money was drying up. For all the lessons that Norman Whitfield had taught the band, there was one critical piece of information that he left out.
This is how much money you make from selling records. That's about it. That's what he left out, the truth.
When we wanted him to show us, okay, you know, sometimes he'd hold back, okay? This is how you do a contract. This is how you get your publishing.
He showed me the ropes, but he didn't show me how to hang on to the ropes.
Whitfield had been the de facto manager of Rose Royce, a conflict of interest since the band worked for him at Whitfield Records. In 1980, the band turned to super agent Jerry Heller, who would go on to represent NWA and co-found Ruthless Records to represent their interests.
Norman started pushing just to see how far he could go. So I said to him, listen, Norman, I'm going out to put some money in my parking meter now. So while I'm gone, why don't you just talk all the smack that you want to talk about me? And when I come back, the guys can just decide whether it's you or me.
Jerry Heller was a name you couldn't mention around Norman. It's like a marriage. When Jerry Heller came into the picture, Norman was through.
The band began looking closely at their paychecks. Whitfield had always been lavish with gifts, but he controlled the money pie. Members say that royalties from Warner Brothers Records went to Whitfield first for distribution to the band, and the guys were beginning to feel undercompensated, especially for Car Wash, their first and biggest hit.
If you've never made $10,000 before and you get $15,000, who's gonna complain? You know what I mean? I sold 3 million copies on the single Car Wash, my very first record, that I was supposed to be a millionaire from that point on. By the time I found that out, the record company had folded. Everything was a wrap.
They had already spent a lot of the money they had coming. I mean, come on, you guys. There's 10 people here that have to eat every day. The rent is being paid. The studio time is free.
They had the best designers, the best costumes, the best of everything. He didn't shortchange them on that. Anytime they needed something, he'd put his hand in his pocket and he'd give them cash.
After trying to settle things out of court, Royce sued Warner Brothers and Norman Whitfield.
It was very difficult because I just felt like I was going against my father, so to speak, and I really didn't want to do that.
He was devastated because he felt like they knew that the efforts that he had put in to making that group be what they were. He'd always said, my books are always open, look at them, even though he didn't keep them. You know, so, but I mean, we rolled with that for years.
The dispute would also take its toll on members of the band, especially one.
Duke knew it was coming, and you didn't think that hurt to let him go?
I didn't go into missions. I went in the street just like everybody other drug addict did.
By the mid-'80s, Royce no longer had a record deal, and demand to see the group in concert had dried up. It was a steep fall for the aristocrats of funk, but one member of the band fell further than the rest.
When I found my DLC, drug of choice, then yeah, I kept that as a shield and buckler against the pain and the things that were happening to us.
Duke started missing rehearsals. An overseas tour was impossible because of customs. There was no way he could stay with the band.
Duke knew it was coming, and you didn't think that hurt to let him go? Well, when Duke left, he took a lot of music with him.
As Duke's drug use got worse, he chose to live on the street to get away from frustrated family and friends.
I was downtown LA 4th and Crocker. Okay, I was right there on the nickel, the concrete jungle. Everybody knows who I am. They know I'm the bass player for Royce. They know that I've you know, had X amount of dollars at certain points in my life, you know? So it wasn't always a safe place for me to just go anywhere and sleep on the streets, you know?
The one-time wonder child of Royce ended up spending 4 years in prison for drug possession. He eventually turned the corner on his habit and is now working on a comeback as the Duke of Royce.
I'm in a very good place right now within myself and the world, because there's no telling. I've learned to live that there's no telling what's going to happen next.
In 2007, Norman Whitfield was diagnosed with terminal diabetes. He was no longer on speaking terms with most members of the band he'd once molded into a vision of funk deluxe, the Rolls Royce of the music business. But when Gwen Dickey found out he was in the hospital, she gave him a call.
And I said, Norman, do you know who this is? And his voice was very weak. And he said, yeah, it's Pooh. And he said, I love you so much. And they took the phone away from him, and that's the last time I spoke to him.
Duke Job, still struggling to get back on his feet, had a different kind of farewell.
I went to his hospital bed. When no one knew, I went to his hospital bed, but me and him and God. Why didn't you pay me my money, Norman? Why didn't you pay me my money? You got it again. You could pay me now. I didn't feel good about it. No, I didn't. But I had to know, and only he could tell me. He said, well, I left it at that, and I didn't ask him no more.
Norman Whitfield, the songwriter, producer, and visionary behind Rolls Royce, died of complications from diabetes on September 16th, 2008.
He is responsible for our success, and that will live with us forever.
I loved him then, I love him now, you know. I didn't love all the things he did. He was a good man and a genius.
I still have his picture in my iTouch. So in this life, we had a good run.
Indeed, just as Rolls Royce began to think they were washed up as a band, the old songs started to make a comeback, and some of the original members started to find individual success. Percussionist Terry Santil, who quit Rolls Royce when the group hired manager Jerry Heller, went on to play for Janet Jackson, Elton John, and many others. Meanwhile, Madonna, Mary J. Blige, and others began covering some of the hits. The famous car wash clap began revving up NBA crowds, and promoters once again began booking the group for shows. Incredibly, 35 years after Car Wash, Rolls Royce is cruising along, with 4 of the original South Central members still in the group.
We were the car wash kids back in the day. We better known now as the car wash grandfathers. Now here we are, this car wash, man. 40 years, 45 years later.
Not 45. 30. Come on, 30 years. Man, come on, you know.
Y'all going to look, you just admitted, hey, man, look, you just admitted we had success, still got success. So look at it this way. Hey, man, we blessed.
That's right.
All right, that's the way I look at it.
Gwen Dickey has also survived and thrived. Still living in London, she performs regularly in Europe and has made successful remakes of Car Wash and Wishing on a Star.
I'm very happy I'm at peace. I have a fabulous group of musicians around me, very talented. And as far as the guys in Rolls Royce, there was a time when, you know, I was very bitter, but I've shedded all that dead skin. I love them, I wish them well. We will always have that bond that, you know, we were Rolls Royce. God bless them. Maybe one day we'll come together and just hit it one more time before we go to the retirement home. Just hit it one more time, you know, for the good times, for old times' sake. You never know.